Hello and welcome to another Analysis Behind the News, where we provide the perspective that you can use to help save American liberty and independence. Today we have one action item for you, so please stay tuned. We heard over the weekend that both Apple and Facebook separately announced the removal of several accounts from Alex Jones and InfoWars due to alleged hate speech violations as outlined by its community standards. Now, regardless of what anyone thinks of Alex Jones or any of his stances, all of us should not be surprised by this latest move, given the buildup that has taken place over the last few years. So let's take a look at it. The 2016 presidential election brought front and center the calling out of establishment media as fake news. And William Jasper wrote in the May 8th, 2017 issue of the New American magazine that the American public has long been aware that something is terribly wrong with the major corporate news organizations, the so-called mainstream media, but the 2016 elections proved to millions the truth of Trump's tweet that the fake news media, and he calls out the failing New York Times, NBC News, ABC, CBS, and CNN, is the enemy of the American people. Americans who identify as political conservatives or as Christians, as pro-life, pro-gun rights, pro-traditional marriage, pro-military, pro-free enterprise, in general, pro-liberty, have realized for decades that the mainstream media claim to objective reporting is laughable. Long before Hillary Clinton labeled Trump voters an irredeemable basket of deplorables, and she continues, racists, sexists, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic, conservatives had become inured to being similarly smeared by the media elites. Conservatives, who comprise the majority of American voters, know from bitter experience that the tolerance demanded of us by the liberal elites does not extend to those who oppose or even disagree with the progressive agenda. The John Birch Society has had to deal with media smears since its very early years, sustaining a vicious attack by those in the establishment media beginning in 1961 and continuing even through today. It seems that even candidate Trump helped to bring this type of awareness to a head. But millions of Americans have already been switching to alternative news sources ever since the internet has provided them. However, Mr. Jasper points out in the same issue of the New American that during the 8-year reign of President Barack Obama, the advocates of Orwellian controls for the ostensible purpose of combating hate speech and thought crimes made frightful progress. Federal and state government officials, together with their cronies in the major media and tech giants such as Google, Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, and Microsoft, have ganged up to crush the upstart alternative media that are challenging and have already surpassed by some important metrics the mainstream media fake news monopoly that has protected and projected the globalist agenda for decades. Breitbart News, The Drudge Report, InfoWars, Natural News, and dozens of other internet-based news providers have already been targeted and are feeling the impact of the corporate government jackbooted heel on their jugulars. Now that impact hit Alex Jones and InfoWars like a ton of bricks over the weekend. By using hate speech as the tool to beat those that do not adhere to a specific politically correct agenda, InfoWars is merely the first in what we would predict a long line that will soon fall. So truth seekers have moved away from establishment media to what has been dubbed as alternative media on the internet. But those sites have been continuously buried and ignored by search engine algorithms since at least 2015, when Google proposed ranking websites according to truthfulness. Their truthfulness, of course. In 2015, Fox News reported that Google researchers based their truth ratings on a database they compiled called the Knowledge Vault, built from sources they deemed relatively trustworthy, such as Wikipedia and Freebase, which are crowdsourced sites they believe are largely self-correcting, and they also include in here government websites. So even though this was just a proposal, it appears that it has been injected in some way, fashion, or form into its algorithms, given the huge decline in traffic that many non-politically correct media sources have seen, including our very own New American Magazine. And besides tweaking the algorithms, fact-checking is another avenue that is being overrun by the elite to ensure that you will receive their facts, regardless of where it comes from. Sites like Snopes and PolitiFact are used to provide the cover of truth for politically correct issues. But folks, they are far from being non-biased. Online at thenewamerican.com, Selwyn Duke wrote in December 2016 that Business Insider reports, to combat fake news, Facebook has teamed up with a short list of media organizations, including Snopes and ABC News, that are part of an international fact-checking network led by the Poynter Institute, a nonprofit school for journalism in St. Petersburg, Florida. He writes, continuing, interesting. One thing often taught in journalism school is that everyone has a bias. This, mind you, isn't synonymous with prejudice in that a bias can be positive or negative. They don't teach in journalism school that what really matters is whether you're biased in favor of the truth or a lie. But ABC is well known as a liberal outlet. Snopes' political fact-checker has been called a failed liberal blogger, and Poynter's network, International Fact-Checking Network, is financed by wealthy left-wing activists such as George Soros. An interesting side note on the Poynter Institute. They hold annual global fact-checking summits around the world. And Google hosted this conference in 2017 on its Madrid, Spain campus. The agenda included employees from Google, Google News Lab, PolitiFact, Facebook, Wikimedia, and American Press Institute, among others. Those in attendance included people from Snopes, Google, PolitiFact, Facebook, the BBC, Washington Post, Georgetown University, Ohio State University, Twitter, and George Soros' Open Society Foundation. And interestingly enough, Poynter has also just announced that it is partnering with the Koch Foundation for the second year. And what are they doing with Koch money? Well, here's what they say in their own words. And this is written by Kelly McBride, their senior vice president. With Koch money, we helped the student journalist at Howard University's The Hilltop newspaper cover the longest student occupation in the college's history, hold their own university officials accountable, and host Blacktivism, a conference on black activism. At Virginia Tech, we guided the Collegiate Times newspaper through a financial and existential crisis and helped them host a student-driven political debate that addressed issues of racially motivated hate speech and sexual assault. We helped the Iowa State Daily create Voices, an event series where students told their own stories. One installment focused on undocumented immigrant students, another on mental health issues. She continues, through it all, Poynter adjunct faculty Elisa Yancey was mentoring tomorrow's journalist. Her goal, which I share, is to emphasize that holding the powerful accountable and facilitating civil dialogue are the guiding lights of journalism in service of democracy. So, they are going to hold the powerful accountable by taking money from the powerful. And her bio lists her as a leading voice for media ethics. Really? Does she not see a conflict of interest here? And whatever happened to just reporting the facts? Folks, this is the kind of garbage being taught in journalism schools today. This is how the globalist elite are altering your reality. We should also mention that Koch supports amnesty for illegal aliens, heavily government-regulated free trade, and rewriting the Constitution through a dangerous constitutional convention. Yet they are presented as a conservative organization. How is that for altered reality? The Koch brothers are a long way away from what their father was. Now, we could go on and on to discuss other ways that the globalist elites are cutting the legs out from under others not on board with their agenda, include going after valuable advertising revenue, but we'll save that for another time. One way to help combat the elitist reach is to directly support those organizations that support the truth. If you're not subscribing to the New American Magazine, you're missing out on 24 issues of hard-hitting news each year. Not to mention the dozens of articles published for free each week at thenewamerican.com. So we strongly recommend that you subscribe to The New American, as a digital annual subscription is only $12.95 a year. So please, just go to thenewamerican.com, and while you're there, sign up for the free top daily headlines as well. Links are in the video description. And please like and share this and subscribe to our social media channels and news alerts. So until next time, we'll see you then.